You're underground.
I know why.
And you ain't got the sun
Right.
or nothing.
I was just gonna
You're
say it's
heading
a
from
sediment bias.
Yeah, and you're underground.
It's like feels like just feels like air conditioner.
Hey, if you want free air conditioning, you'll get a free bill.
Stuff we're seeing now, it's beautiful, alright, but it's not even better than without.
There's a look.
You walk in there right here.
Oh,
Yeah.
go up there if I can get a picture. Look at. Go up there. Okay, stop. Look at.
So if you don't mind, wait right here, because some of the lane, some of the lights that come out. So do wait right here, it's too dark for me to walk through there safely before turning on the light. So wait there, be right back. Come on in. Go. Come on in.
Can we go in
Hey, watch
here?
your head right here, folks, if you, if you're
That's
good.
important. Look, that's important.
Yep.
Those things are.
They're gonna bug you.
I don't feel buggy.
Dale butter duck.
I don't know. It almost touches my head. My head got with a dog.
They had to come close.
Man, where you go if you want to run, all of this is limestone, all this rock, and on top of this limestone,
Is that
is
cool?
sandstone shale that acts like a roof, and it is why Mammouth Cave is predominantly known to be a very dry, or at the very least, non-formation heavy cave, because of all that cap rock. We're firmly underneath that ridge, but instead, we have a lot of cool gypsum all over, and we want to head to the bench stop, so that way you folks can have a nice sit. All I have to wait for folks to show off the system.
See, like the rocks and stuff, they get them and they polish them up and then they get your gemstones.
It looks cool in here.
It does?
And it feels cool too, but I mean it looks cool, but it can.
So gypsum, it is a very interesting mineral. It's all over. Basically, what's happening is that it's leaching from the walls over time. Basically what's happening is that moisture is starting to come, from the limestone starts to condense, and in the process, as it evaporates, it leaves the traces of minerals that
Right
were
there.
in the
And right
limestone,
there.
and over time, it builds up on each other. Now, gypsum, it sometimes, it can form in just little, light sheets, as we saw back there, but also it can form in the form of snowballs all around you. This is hence why this room is known as the snowball room. Yep. So yeah. But we'll see a lot of other stuff up ahead as well, like gypsum flowers, gypsum celery stalks, but this is part of the reason why this area, for a long time, even to this day, was considered one of the more beautiful areas of Mammouth Cave. And throughout the 1800s, early 1800s in particular, when this section was first discovered, this was like the main area that you wanted to get to on some of those longer tours, because if nothing else, this was like the pretty stuff, and more or less a lot of travel accounts that I've read or heard about from that time period, predominantly mid-1800s, they more or less say the same thing. It's a very beautiful area that people need to see. and I think you agree. But also, we have a lot of historic signatures here, so up until we became a national park, more or less, it was more or less allowed, or at least permitted for people to leave their names in the cave. It was a way to show, hey, I'm here. Also, one could argue that in the very early days of cave tourism, when some of these passageways were first being shown to visitors, it made sense to leave your name, because if you got lost, all you had to do was just, look for your name and then follow up and then go from there.
How did they get into the cave in the beginning?
So in the beginning, so this area was not discovered until the 1840s. Before that, much of what was called Mammouth Cave was predominantly only known about in the early 1800s. Just underneath like the visitor center, there's a historic entrance behind it, and one could in theory enter through there and then pop up here. And actually, they actually did that. So for a long time, in order to see Mammouth Cave, particularly in the mid-1800s, what you would do was that you would stop by the hotel there, get on a cave tour, and if you got on one of the longer tours, you would have spent hours on the ground just to get to this spot. And then you would have to turn around and go all the way back. So yeah, this was why I call this the grand finale, because they more or less acted like it was. This was one of the more special areas. But it was only in the 1840s that what we're standing in was actually discovered. It was quickly realized that this is a beautiful area. Yeah. Good question.
Does this area flood?
Lower, not anymore. So this area where we're at now is well above the current water table, but as you get down lower, eventually you would hit the underground rivers and streams that do crisscross the extreme low levels. And they do flood, but not up here. It's just impossible.
This is up here, where how far down?
Well, about 265 feet, but
That's up here.
yeah, well, technically, I'll compare to it, because the underground rivers, they're more or less around 360, 400 feet below the surface, so, yeah. So think about, like the Green River, it's been digging into its banks. The underground rivers or wherever the Green River is, because they're trying to flow out to it. And so in between where we're at and where the underground rivers are, there's a slow incline of passageway that progressively go down deeper and deeper and deeper. So yeah. So for example, someone on the Green River right now, probably not so much as canoeing as they are fording. But someone on the Green River right now may be swimming or maybe canoeing. They're looking up at the cave around, because the cave is in a ridge, so it's overlooking the Green River. So yeah.
When we were in South Africa, they're mining gold.
Yeah.
They're so deep in the earth, it's very, very, very hot.
Yep.
I wonder how deep they would be.
They had to be very deeper, and also it would also depend on whether they had a good filtration, air circulation system.
Okay.
But even so, since that I presume that was
It looks
probably
like you're on a
man-made.
nail.
Yeah.
If it's man-made,
Like
it
craters, huh?
cause
It
the
looks
air
like
flow
we're
would not be
upside
as
down on the moon.
prevalent.
But they have to be pretty darn deep, right?
Oh yeah. I mean.
That's pretty cool
Yeah,
observation.
so, Mammoth Cave, you may say, oh, 400 feet or 200 feet is deep. Well, in the world of caves, we're considered a shallow cave, apparently. Yeah, there's a cave system in Georgia, in the country, not the state, the country of Georgia, in the middle of one of the mountain ranges. And apparently, its entrance is at the top of a very tall mountain, and the cave goes all the way down to 7,000 feet or so. Yeah, and they periodically apparently find bodies of people that try to go down there. Like, yeah, that is good well. But yeah, you can see a lot of historical graffiti here, folks were past exploring it. And like the onyx cave around here, there was no true onyx anywhere near here, but it was a marketing term, cave onyx.
They don't have any sinkholes?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of sinkholes
Well,
around here.
see, that's a lot of times where the animals and stuff fall down there.
Oh yeah, that's actually, sometimes
I
they
know in
find.
Tennessee, they were finding all alligators and elephants and everything else.
Yeah, they find, that's how they find a lot of Ice Age fossils. That way. So folks, if you don't mind, I want to show you as much of the cave as possible, so let's go.
I wanted to ask him how long he noticed
What Brenda said. Brenda said, Daddy. Look out the rain. Oh, look at that rain.
What?
That's pretty cool, I think.
Oh,
Look at how like the rocks are built up there.
yeah.
See that?
Look right there.
What? The darkness? Ooh, look at that. Is that cool?
Oh, Dad.
Wow, look at that. Wow, is that pretty cool?
That what?
Isn't that pretty cool?
What is?
That puddle.
Oh,
Stop here. Yeah, you can see that there's some good gypsum flowers here. Now, if the old visitor council to be believed, what we're seeing is more or less a mere shadow of how they would have seen it, because apparently they would say that they saw gypsum that was like, giant, even bigger than this, and that it was all over the ground. But think about it, do you think people are gonna leave that lying around, especially if they wanna take home a souvenir? So yeah, so it's believed that some of that stuff may have been taken as a little memento, but the fact that there's so much of this stuff that's still remaining intact, this is a beautiful area. It's actually one of my favorite areas to show the public because of how beautiful it is.
this is really cool.
It is, isn't it? Look at that. See all the stuff hanging?
They said people took them.
Yeah. That's a shame, huh? That's why they tell you not to take nothing. Because if you take it, then what? And other people can't enjoy it like you did, right? Oh, you did, right?
Folks, just to address the breakdown here, this is all natural. So what happened was that as the cave was trying to, as the cave experienced the loss of all those underground rivers as the Green River down into its banks, that led to some of these passageways really going through a lot of breakdown, but this is actually considered as one of the passageways that's more or less intact. I mean, of course, there's, breakdown here and there, but this is more like settling. It's not catastrophic, breakdown, but just wanna, bring that up. Because sometimes people, when they see a lot of rocks falling on the ground, they think, oh, they must have blasted this open. Nope. Nope. Wouldn't be a world wonder if it was.
See it all
Good
up
to
above.
the left, folks. See, some historic signatures. Seems like some cases they decide, hey, let's just write our name on the
Yep.
picture with pen or pencil, and that way, not as, not as obvious. I mean, I do find it interesting how you can tell some people, they just want to leave their name on the cage, but they didn't want to make it too noticeable. See some here. And it was not just visitors that were leaving their name on the cage, have a relatively rare signature right here. At least it's one that we don't really focus too much on. This Alfred, 1849. Now he was one of those enslaved cave guys. You may have heard of the likes of Stephen Bishop and Matt and Nick Bransford. Well, they were also with a man named Alfred, and he was a good cave guy as well. But his name is often found in a lot of the same areas that the others were in. But his is just not as talked about, and it's relatively not as common. Because if nothing else, after he got his freedom, he was the one man out. The other guys, Stephen, Matt, and Nick, even after they got their freedom, they more or less said, yeah, we're going to stay on as paid guys. Because nothing else, we have nothing else to do. I mean, where else are we going to go? Alfred was the exception for whatever reason, most likely because he just, he didn't like it here. He decided, you know what, I got my freedom, I'm leaving, goodbye. So, he's the one man out, as we say. Oh, here's some very different flowers. Here you go, folks. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, look how big that rock is right
There they
there.
are, folks.
Ben.
Oh, there's some clusters.
I wouldn't want to be here when that rock fell out.
Oh, yeah. Although it does make the question, if a rock falls and rolls around, does it make a noise?
Yeah.
There is some good ones here. Yep. This is very slow growing, but what we're seeing here, this is like the result of thousands or hundreds of thousands worth of growth. It grows very slowly from what I've been told. Or at least on the perfect
There's a
condition.
hole down there.
You know how it is.
Yeah, look at that hole. Ooh.
Nothing is the same in a laboratory as it's for in theory as it is in practice. So,
Maybe somebody caught do that and explode.
Hey, Jerry, put it on the clock now for that.
I was trying to get a picture of you. Look at all that up there. See that?
colors, not just because of the fact that it's white.
Look over there.
As you see, you know, maybe in different colors because of all the, sometimes the minerals like iron that is reacting, so it's giving it a little hint. Limestone is very seldom 100% pure limestone. It's often applied to other minerals and elements and little impurities that give it, coloration.
Look at that.
Well, if you don't mind, we're going to make all everything hot box little turnaround like that. Also, I want to being able to show off this nice picture. Been a while since I've seen this area, and we've been able to see it like this, just walking around. What? Turn that light on. Yeah. Now, folks, now, folks, we're kind of spoiled nowadays with electricity because there's nothing else. We get to see these passageways in all their glory, and also we have handheld flashlights that do a very good job of illuminating, certain areas. But in the 1800s, even into the early 1900s in some cases, much of what we now call the Mammoth Cave, Mammoth Cave system would have been, only seen via lanterns, flame lanterns.
It's a big
Folks,
cheesy smile.
let me see if there's coming your way. Oh, there. Oh, good. Thank you. You anticipated me. Thank you. I didn't want to stop at that humming spot because as its name implies, there's very much an echoing or humming effect.
Where's Dale?
And how good you were folks a year ago, so I know from personal experience that whenever I talk there, I always feel like I'm annoying people. So folks, if you are prepared, if you have any of your own light sources for your benefit, meaning that, no, you're fine. That's good.
That's small enough.
Yeah, that's small enough. I'm talking about like flashlights, phones. I mean, unless you want to take a picture of me, that's fine. But what we're about to do is very reliant on how much light. Folks, 1, 2, 3. You can see that this does do a good job of illuminating the cave,
That's how it was
but
in the
it's
old
not
days.
the same. I mean, it's still beautiful, but can you imagine coming down here with lanterns and just seeing this stuff? It would be a very different kind of tour. I mean, it makes sense as to why, people, would spend more time in some of these areas than others, because they wanted to get as much as they could to the light. Now, in some of the more distant areas that had bigger rooms, it said that guides would often use flares to illuminate those caves. Can you imagine shooting up people of a emergency flare into the gloom, and also flinging rags? Apparently, people would often shoot off guns in some of these lower levels to get to really hammer in the fact that there was an echoing effect. So but this is how you would have seen it. Very different. It also kind of explains why tours can last much longer, because imagine, you're walking, you're not going to walk fast because, and you're not going to be doing this all the time unless you want to look at the stuff. You're going to be keeping your lanterns down. But if you walk too fast, then you risk tripping, you risk knocking a flame out, particularly before they decided, you know what, we need better fuel, let's cover these with a glass covering. For a long time, they would have used a type of lantern that gave off too much smoke, and so they couldn't put glass on it. Also, glass was sometimes expensive, especially in the very early days. But, Now, folks, a lot of us guys here, we will say that while electricity is beneficial for us being able to show the cave to you, a lot of us argue that even so, caves were meant to be seen via lantern. That's why I always love it when I have this opportunity to show off the cave via lantern lights. If you get, because it's
Oh, well, it's in the dark.
absolute darkness. fine.
I don't see it.
Yeah, that's not bad light. You'll be amazed at what people sometimes try to, you sometimes have to deal with. So folks, one last thing, and then I'll do a
Oh, my
Q&A more or
bracelet
less.
isn't glowing.
You may be wondering, even if it's in the back of your head, why this is called Cleveland Avenue. Well, it's not because of Cleveland, Ohio. It's not named for that. It's not spelled the same way. What it is a reference to is one of the giants of early American geology. He's one of the forgotten heroes of that field. This man was Parker Cleveland. He was a well-known geologist in his own day and age, early 1800s. But he was an interesting fellow because if nothing else, he was fascinated from an early age by geology. But apparently he had trouble because apparently during his time as a student, it was next to impossible to get good geology books in America. In fact, he once said that for a long time he thought that there was only one type of rock. He didn't know that there was other types. But then he realized that, hey, they have all this stuff up in Europe. And he got all the stuff, he helped and also he looked at all these books in Europe, and he noticed that there was this argument over among other things, how do you tell the difference between minerals? Some said that had to do with the chemistry. Another said it's physical properties. And he more or less said it can be both. So he literally wrote a book on geology that for a long time was like the textbook. And he became a professor at Bowdoin College up in what is now Maine, but during his time there, it was up until 1820, the part of the state of Massachusetts. It was only in 1820 that Maine decided, you know what, it's been fun, Massachusetts, but we want to do our own thing now. But yeah, he is to this day apparently honored there. They have his one of his one of the buildings there is named in his honor. And also they still have his extensive mineral collection. Apparently he was well known for collecting minerals throughout America. And as far as we know, he never visited Mammoth Cave, but he would have, well, of course, you have students and stuff, you have friends. And so apparently what seems to have happened is that on one of those trips, some acquaintances of his decided to send him a sample of gypsum from Mammoth Cave. They actually have it on display in his little mineral closet, and to this day, you can still see it if you were to visit there. His Cleveland cabinet, mineral cabinet, and it says gypsum from Mammoth Cave. And he was not the only geologist who visited. The Silliman father and son, they were also big-time geologists. They visited Mammoth Cave, Greg?
Yeah,
Did the Silliman father and son, did they visit Mammoth Cave?
the sun.
The son visited Mammoth Cave, but regardless, they have a passageway named after them too. They were also like Parker Cleveland, the big names in early American geology. So it's kind of fitting when a work of geologic wonder has names that more or less lay the groundwork for what we now know to be geology. But yeah, Parker Cleveland, he was an interesting guy. Hence then, Cleveland Avenue, named in his honor. Now in some of the maps from those eras, like early 1840s, early 1900s, they do make it clear that there are some little sub areas. There's Cleveland's Avenue, and then there's various areas that more or less can be described as all more or less saying the same thing. Beautiful area, beautiful area, beautiful area. It's like, a lot of subsections. Because as I love to say, just about every section of Mammoth Cave has a name attached to it. All right.
Parker Cleveland has a mineral named after him.
Oh, he does? I didn't know that.
Anybody wanna guess what it's called?
Cleveland.
Clevelandite. Silliman has a mineral named after him. You know what that one's called?
Sillimanite.
Sillimanite.
Nice. Yeah, Greg's more of the mineralogist than I am. All right, but folks, do you have any questions about anything?
Do you have any questions?
Okay. Yes.
How old is this cave?
How old is this cave? Depends on the area. So typically the upper level passageways start to form, I don't know. Greg, how old do you think the upper levels are? They keep telling me different numbers. And I want you to.
Yeah, They seem to say, upper 10 to 12, but I
Yeah.
think they're talking about Collins Avenue.
Yeah,
And, so in the Mammoth Cave Ridge, maybe it's 10.
10 million, all right. Yeah, so up, Upper Ridge, past Ridge, where, Mammoth Cave, 10 million years or so. Then the lower levels start to form, a few million, hundreds of thousands. So yeah, it depends on
Pretty
where
old,
you're
huh?
at. Good question. Any others?
See, I told you.
Folks, if you still need that slow pace, just do a U-turn, I guess. Make room, folks. As I said, I'm gonna walk really slow either, so really slow either way. So even if you don't get necessarily in the same.
Can we keep moving?
Yeah, let's keep moving. Yeah. Keep moving. But even if you don't get in the same spot as you were, I'm gonna walk very slow.
We're not even in a line.
Yeah.
Huh?
I work with
We're
you.
not in a line.
I work with you. You don't work with me. Very good. You guys want?
This is a cool cave.
It is, isn't it? Wait till you go back to school and tell all your friends. How many of them could say they've been in a cave before? A real cave.
A real dark cave.
It is dark.
Well, it's even more dark when that light's off.
That's right.
Good, just from my idea, folks. Get some flowers.
This is really cool.
It is.
How many people are going to say they went into a cave? Yeah.
What?
How many people are going to say they went into a cave before?
That's right.
Some might. But not many. It's pretty dark in here.
Imagine with the lights on.
But,
You never would have turned the lights off? That was dark.
but I had a little bit of light on me.
Mm-hmm.
Because it glows in the dark and it too is pretty bright. Bright.
One I'm intrigued by. It's like, you got a little rock shelf here. Little rock shelf, little gypsum rock shelf, I guess, over here. Yeah, you folks in the back see it? Good. Yeah, just in case. Yeah. I just, you know, I get kind of paranoid that way. Sorry. Yeah. I get kind of paranoid that when I show stuff off to people, sometimes even in these small groups, that not everyone can see it. And then I feel like I cheated you. Part of me wonders is the reason why we don't see that much gypsum near the elevator shaft is because when they created that elevator in the 50s, they may have unintentionally changed the cave environment. I mean, I don't know, but I do wonder. If nothing else, it is noticeably wetter, humid, and hot there. But, you know. Honestly, it's one of the cases of what we refer to as sacrifices to pay in order that, you know, people can see it. I mean, it's, meaning that way, you know, you folks get, folks like you get to see that section, but areas that will never, ever be blemited by humans, they'll be just alone. Because, I mean, it's 426 known miles, and Roman sacrificing in a way, I mean, a small sliver of a much wider system.
Here for a second. Okay, stand right there. Right there. Okay, I want to get a picture of you.
Nowadays, when we talk about the snowball room, we usually,
Smile.
or if you'll read about it, you may be able, oh, sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. Okay? You're fine. Yeah, well, this trail is, you know, it can get kind of slippery due to use and also just condensation.
Turn the lights off because it forms algae and stuff. Isn't that a problem here?
Oh, we do as long as, well, we don't, as long as we keep the lights off. But also at the end of the day, it makes sense from other reasons too. Like you just want to make sure that the cave returns to its original darkness. Folks, if you have any of you been to Mammouth Cave before this trip? No. It's a red letter day. But most time when people visit us, they either remember or they either remember being told about it or they remember coming here when before we stopped the food service. So what we're at nowadays it's just known as Snowball Room, but also sometimes we'll slip up and say the Snowball Dining Room, because that's what it was known for a long time. And this was where you would have lunch down here if you wanted some other tour, if you wanted a few tours. Also, if you just wanted to pop in via the elevator. That's actually originally why that elevator was blasted open, not because they wanted to tell people that would otherwise not be able to visit the cave. They wanted to make it as easy as possible, bring down supplies and stuff down here for the food service. Eventually, they got rid of it, and then they brought it back to a limited capacity, and now it's just gone. It was just, because not only was it just environmental factors, but it was also due to the fact that it was a logistical nightmare. And honestly, it outlived its usefulness. The second, especially when you consider that when they brought it the second time, they were just giving you like soups and sandwiches. Not something that you want to eat not something that you would think of when you think of high class dining. not something that most people want to do. So, also, changing times, changing views of what is good to do in a cave, and so it was one of those cases where it quietly died away.
Right,
But
look at-
but the equipment is still down
That
there.
one looks like a head with a
When we
face on
passed
it.
by that serving station.
This one
Also,
right there. It looks like it's
down
got
to the right
eyes,
there, that is
nose, a
that's
mouth.
also significant because in 1972, the Cave Research Foundation went in via the Flint Ridge system and the goal of trying to see if the Flint Ridge was connected to the Mammouth Cave Ridge. There was that
Right there?
suspicion, but they wanted to prove it. They spent hours in the ground, and just when they were
That one
about to
looks like a
turn
head.
around, they said, okay, let's keep going just a little bit further. And then they pop out, and almost by accident, they notice that there's a handrail. They had popped out right at the underground river level. And they eventually came out. They passed by, they passed by that rock wall there, and they went up the elevator, like we're about to do. And it was in the middle of the night. There was not much of a fanfare. It was like, just quietly
Right.
left. But we like to joke that almost overnight we became the world's longest cave. But we better get on the ball because apparently the second longest cave in the Yucatan Peninsula, it is 300 miles now. We're only 426. So yeah, hopefully we get some updated numbers soon, or else we're gonna be downgraded. But honestly, as much as we joke that we're gonna be downgraded, it's not gonna be a disaster. That stuff happens all the time. We started out as not the world's longest cave when we became a national park, and we'll continue to do tours here. We'll continue to have fun. And also it'll be a nice talking point. Be like, yeah, look how within one lifetime, the mileage can change.
So with the Explorer, since it's so long, do they come down and stay long term?
They try not to. They will often try to use as entrances that are either
Right,
natural or man-made.
there's another
so
face
close-
right there.
As close as possible to where they want to
it
put
looks
on the
mad.
explorations. They try
It
not to.
looks
but
really
they never-
mad.
Well, in the fifties, they
I
tried
think
to
it's a
make
girl.
another
Do
energy
you?
setting up
Because it looks like right there it has a ponytail.
Just try going in more
I
specific,
get that. Yeah.
specific goal.
What do you think about trying to?
Oh, look at that one. Look at, where'd it go?
Yeah.
Looks like he's got
Well,
his mouth
yeah,
open.
that's the thing, is that they kind of have to pace themselves. But luckily, there's a lot of natural entrances
Oh,
to
I
this
might
cave
see
system.
it
There are
right
man-made
there.
ones. All they have to do is
right
find,
there.
okay, this is where we want
See,
to
look at-
focus on, this is the closest
Let's see,
man-made
see if I can find out on the
entrance.
camera.
Stuff will,
Right
how
there.
this is how long we have to walk and stuff.
No.
Really, the
So look
problem,
at- that's
really
his
the
mouth
biggest
right there.
problem is if you have to go back
That's
the way
all.
you came if you don't find it.
You see that?
Especially in the wintertime, from what I've told. And honestly, most cavers, at least the ones that work with us, their biggest fear is not
See what we see over
the
here?
cave itself, it's the fact that some of these areas that have a lot of water.
That
They don't
one
like
looks
getting
like
wet.
a baby.
Because you can
Which
get
one?
pneumonia and
Right
stuff.
there.
Can't really fly out.
That one?
Not really, yeah, you have to get outside.
Right there.
Alright, folks, if you don't
Right
mind,
here?
we're gonna slowly, easy,
And a mermaid
closing.
holding the baby.
I'll wait back, but I'm gonna help you out. Yeah, I can see some good,
Aww.
some good snowballs here. There we go.
That one looks so really like a face.
Does it? It's like, look at that cloud.
But instead of looking at the clouds, you look at rocks.
Well, 9 o'clock, midday mining
Outside
meeting there.
of my eyes, something the rocky. Dad,
Right.
we're gonna get left behind.
No, we're not. They know where we're at.
The only thing they were mined out of here was saltpeter, water soluble saltpeter out of cave dirt, and that was at the historic entrance. This is so far from the entrance,
Where's that tunnel go to?
426 miles of cave. That's where those explorers came from, and then they made a connection with the yellow. Came from that direction.
I guess that's none of your business.
Elevator. Aw,
Ooh, lights out.
aw. No, they couldn't get off to
For
the
some reason in the old days, they had some sort of strange idea that we needed to have the lights offset.
Oh,
When you push a button, and it puts people in the dark.
They did saltpeter was to make munitions, right?
Yes. Or
Did they ever use
1812.
saltpeter for animal husbandry?
excuse us.
Not in 1812.
No, but I mean, because I remember my dad asking someone, they had animals, like,
Yeah, I don't know what they.
Look at, go stand by that pole and I'll take a picture.
some minerals they had. I mean, kind of like the salt licks or something.
Okay, go, go. Walk towards the deal. Walk towards the deal.
Yeah, maybe.
Turn around. Go.
But it was about gunpowder.
Not gunpowder.
1812.
Yeah.
About the war. The war was over. The free market opened and king gave it to them.
So there's all the mining was done, right? And like no more.
1812.
Yeah.
Folks, just want to say thank you for coming over to the tour. I hope you had a great time seeing a very beautiful area that I really wish more people got to see, but I'm glad we were able to.
Come here.
Might just say something.
Look at the stand right there. Why such big cheesy smiles? Hey, come on.
What they call cave.
Go sit next to Bill.
Cave. Not true
Where we live,
Smile.
where we live in Arkansas, you go up in the mountains and they have like 12 different